Hello, hello. Happy Halloween. It's good to see all of you out. Hello. Good to see you. I love doing these shows. How many of you are first-timers here at the Classical Beer Jam? All right, some new folks, and some of you are repeat offenders. Is that right? How many are repeat offenders? Oh, it's good to have some friends back. I love bringing classical music and beer together because they have a lot in common, right? They're a little intoxicating when they're done well. There's a sense of craft, for sure. And there's a lot of dudes with beards. And you're going to meet all of them. And they also have a kind of weird fixation with German culture. So they're going to be coming out. We have our friends from 6 Point. You already have at least one beer in your hand already, so you've already gotten warmed up. And the way these beer jams work is that we pair a little bit of craft beer with a little bit of classical music. How many of you are classical music listeners? Oh, that's a good showing. How many of you listen to WQXR for your classical music? All right, so you know that, when the classical, if you listen to QXR, you get the costume, right? I'm dressed as Jeff Spurgeon. This is exactly what he looks like. I feel like I've got it down, but if I were to do the walk, it'd be like more of a drag, and then pre-coffee, it's So that's kind of a Jeff thing. You know, if you've ever seen a photo, it's this. It's this. But you also know that the DJs on QXR kind of sound like your mom trying to tell you about somebody in high school that you've forgotten about, right? Like, that was the music of Johann Nepomuk Hummel. You remember him, right? He was in your chemistry class. Well, he was a contemporary of Beethoven. Oh my God, have you heard Beethoven's new symphony? Yes, Mom, I have. Yeah, he's done great. He's done great. Yeah, I think it's got vocals in it. He's deaf. I know, Mom, I know. Well, anyway, I ran into Hummel's sister in the ShopRite. He's married now. I'm just saying. And he wrote a piano concerto, and we just heard Martha Argerich with the Budapest Festival Orchestra conducted by Yvonne Fischer. So I think that's pretty much the classical experience on WQXR. My mom is here, by the way. And Mom, I hope you don't mind reading the transcript from our phone calls with everybody here. All right, so what's going to happen next is that the beers are going to start to come around, and you will get to taste a new beer every time we have a new musical performance. So you're going to have not only the beer in your hands, but 4 more that are coming through the course of the night. Pace yourselves, people. Some of these are like 10% or more. One of them has been aged in a whiskey barrel. Yes, I looked at some people who are looking to get drunk tonight. These are my friends. So I would like to introduce you to one of the brewers, one of the members of the team from 6 Point Brewing, who is our beer partner tonight. Please welcome JD with the beer Shatter. All right. Now, does everybody have a glass of beer yet? I think they're coming around from the team. All right, so look for the WQXR team. And I think we just have our newest pourer is here. Welcome. JD,
Yep.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Halloween.
Same to you.
So, what kind of heat are you packing there, buddy?
I'm actually packing another Shatter. Just in case.
All right, so what are we drinking, JD, from 6 Point Brewing?
All right, this is Shatter. It's a New England-style IPA. Are you aware of what a New England-style IPA is? Everybody?
I don't think this is a New England IPA kind of crowd, right? I mean, we hate the Red Sox, as a rule. So I say screw the New England IPAs.
Well, the one good thing to come out of New England, it's an IPA style. It has a lot of extra high-protein malt in it to give it more body. The hops are usually added later in the process, so you get a lot more aroma and flavor and not as much bitterness. Mm-hmm. This beer specifically features a new hop from the Oregon State hop breeding program called Strata. Strata has a lot of tropical fruit, a little bit of strawberry, and a little bit of like dank weed character. We think it's going to be one of like the new next big things, like some of the other really big hops that are out there right now.
I'm sorry, I'm not tasting the dank weed. Does anybody have some other dank weed I can try while we're here? I think this is probably the first reference to dank weed. No, I take it back. I heard Jeff this morning. All right, so go on.
Yeah, so those are the characteristics of that hop. We paired it with Idaho 7, which is a hop that features a lot of like really lush pineapple, a little bit of pine, which you get coming through here, and then CTZ, which is a really old school traditional hop, has a lot of like resinous character. So this beer is a little bit more dank and resiny than a traditional New England IPA. Usually they're a lot more fruity But
Am I
we tried
going to
to
have
change
to
it
do
up.
a drug test after drinking
No,
this
you're
thing?
fine. You're fine.
With all the resin and
You're
the
fine.
dankness?
You're fine. It's a different kind of resin.
So tell me a little bit about your costume there, JD.
I am a cowboy, or at least the best cowboy I could throw together.
Well done.
Partner.
You look the part for sure.
Thank you.
And looking back on your many Halloweens, have you ever had, what's your most epic Halloween costume?
I was Darth Vader with a really well done Darth Vader costume one year, and I was super proud of it. Like, made a whole bunch of it, bought some of it. Didn't have a ton of money back then, but
Awesome.
did a great job.
All right, well, JD, thank you so much for bringing Shatter.
Thank you.
Our first beer from 6 Point tonight.
Cheers.
Everybody got Shatter? And how did it get its name before you go?
I'm sorry?
How did it get its name, Shatter?
Oh, man, you're going to have to ask marketing on that one.
All right. JD from 6 Point and Shatter.
Enjoy, y'all.
Thank you so much. So part of the Classical Beer Jam, as we promised, is that because the show is called Decomposers, we focus on some of the darker tales of classical music. And this first piece is one of those pieces that is on kind of everybody's short list of Halloween music in classical. It was written by Camille Saint-Saëns, and it's called The Dance of Death, the Danse Macabre. And there's a story about this, right? That every Halloween, at the stroke of midnight, death comes back and starts playing his violin. And he summons the dead. Do you say no? I knew I heard something that night. So that's death. That's death tuning up at about 12:01. 12:03 he hits and he takes a break. But death comes and he leads the dead to come back from their graves and dance. I'm not sure, I'm not sure if I was coming back from the dead. That's the first thing I want to do is to hit a dance party. I might be a little hungry. I want to see some family, but this is what happens. So every Halloween, the dead come back, they do a little dance, and then as the dawn arrives, they crawl back into their graves. And so if you're death, you're waking up on Halloween, you're thinking, I got to throw a dance party tonight. What could that sound like? Well, to hear what it sounds like, please welcome from the Knights, Colin Jacobson and Vicky Chow. with music to summon the dead. Colin Jacobs and Vicky Chow of the Knights. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. So, Colin, just hang with me for one quick second. Yeah, I was going to say, that was great, but you could have put a little effort in putting on a costume. I mean,
What are you talking about?
So, tell me a little bit about the Knights, because it's one of my favorite chamber orchestras, but there's more than two of you usually. So, how does the Knights work?
It's not dead, and it was started by my brother and I, Eric Jacobson, cellist and conductor, and we're celebrating as an organization the 10th anniversary coming up. Though actually thank you. There were prehistories. You know, every organization has several life cycles, but I think mission is literally to keep this music that we love alive for this generation and generations to come. So we love doing family shows, and in fact, our next show is a family show at Brick in Brooklyn.
All right.
Coming up. Yeah.
All right. So, I think keeping it alive is fine. I prefer, keeping it undead is probably for at least for tonight. So the next show, I know you're doing the Montreal Bach Festival. You got something in Washington at the Dunbar Noakes, but the next one in town for all of you to come to. How many folks have young people in your lives who would like to see a classical music show? Show of hands. My goodness gracious. All right.
Got to work on that.
Yeah.
Got to work on that.
You got to do some boring people shows somewhere. All right. Colin Jacobson, we're going to see you back playing more fiddle and devil music a little bit later on the show. Thank you so much. All right. Colin Jacobson, Vicky Chow from the Knights. So one of the things that we love to do here at the Classical Beer Jam is to play some games. And the first game we're going to play is called the Newly Dead Game. Because sometimes it seems like the great composers have been dead so long, it just feels like they've been dead forever. But there was a time when the whole being dead thing was new and fresh, and they were just figuring it out. And so we're here to celebrate the newly deads of classical music. So I need a volunteer from the audience who's willing to play along with me. Somebody who's willing to come up on stage and try your hand at a little Classical Beer Jam trivia. You're being volunteered. My God, people, you've had entry beer and one glass. I need more volunteers. How you doing, sir? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tell me your name, because I want to forget it later.
Sure, Eric.
Eric. And where are you from, Eric?
Jersey.
It's fine. I was born in Jersey. I don't deny. Where are you from? What part of Jersey?
South Orange.
I love it. I'm from Melbourne. We have stuff in common. It's almost like you're a plant. My mom's here. You're here. It's like the whole town's right here. Okay. So I want to tell you a little bit about what you're playing for, Eric, because I know you're thinking, like, I got up on stage, and all you people who didn't volunteer and raised your hands because you hadn't had enough beer, I just want to point out, Eric. All right, look at this. So you're playing for the WQXR tote bag, but not just the WQXR tote bag, because in this tote bag is all sorts of swag, the detritus from the pledge drive that's ending today, including the very important WQXR beer koozie. And I want to say that these guys, talk about generosity, Eric, they were thinking of you when they put in the WQXR wireless earbuds. I know! See? She volunteered you, Eric. And so the rules of the Classical Beer game, the Newly Dead game, are fairly simple. I'm going to ask you 4 questions. If you answer any of them correctly, or not, you will be the winner of the tote bag, the earbuds, and the beer koozie, and so much more. This is the WQXR taxi tote we've been talking about. And for those of you that remember your resin and your dank weed, this is that trippy Escher thing that you remember from college, right, that we talk about? Well, these are being retired, so this is like, could be the last day you can see them. I'm not kidding, because they will be going back to the grave forever. Okay, you ready to play?
I'm ready.
All right, I love it. Alexander Scriabin. You got a picture of Alexander Scriabin. There he is. A delusional Russian composer who loved the ideas of dark magic and mysticism, but it was an everyday mourning ritual that led to his demise. Was it A, shaving his mustache with a straight razor, B, grinding his own coffee by hand, Was it C, catching up on back episodes of The Daily? Or D, one too many 7-minute workouts?
Shaving.
You are correct. Alexander Scriabin cut himself shaving, developed a pimple that led to the blood poisoning that would kill him, and also, incidentally, helped coin the phrase, this acne, I could just die. All right, moving on. You are 1 for 1, Eric from South Orange. All right, there is Beethoven, and in 1827, as Beethoven lay dying of what most people think was probably liver disease, what kind of considerate gift did his publisher send him? Was it A, a very expensive fruit basket from Harry and David, the one with the sausage and the hard cheese? Was it B, a new Steinway piano featuring his name etched in gold on the side? Was it C, a royalty check for 250 pounds sterling, but they waived their usual fee? And D, a case of wine?
Case of wine.
You are correct, Eric. As Beethoven lay dying with a failing liver, his publishers thought, you know what he needs? You know what I think he'd really appreciate? Yeah, let's get him the good stuff. And as a matter of fact, Beethoven's last words were, pity, it's come too late. I'm not kidding. He was ready to drink all 12 bottles right there and then. All right, Franz Joseph Haydn. Franz Joseph Haydn is known as the father of the symphony. As a matter of fact, he used to brag to his friends in Vienna, I'm the father of 104 symphonies that I know of. But when he died, there was something amiss from his burial. What was missing from Haydn's grave? Was it A, his wife, who never once visited even on his yahrzeit? Was it B, his lucky baton, which he very specifically asked to be buried in his right hand until the end of time? Was it C, his headstone, or was it D, his head?
His head.
I told you he was a plant. Eric, you got it right. Franz Joseph Haydn's head was robbed from his grave a few days after burial by a budding phrenologist who kept it on his mantelpiece with a friend for a while. And at one point when he got caught, he gave a fake head back, which was reburied with Haydn. And it wasn't until 145 years later that Franz Joseph Haydn was reunited with his actual skull. But because so much time had passed, they figured they'd leave the original skull in there anyway, because who can really be sure about these things? And there are actually 2 skulls buried with Franz Joseph Haydn to this day. All right, you are doing really well. It's almost unnerving. I feel like these earbuds could be yours. Alban Berg. He wrote the opera Wozzeck and studied with Schoenberg and wrote some very scary Halloween-y sounding music, but it was things that went downhill for him on Christmas Eve. How did Alban Berg meet his end? Was it A, his wife tried to remove a bee stinger with the dirty scissors? Was it B, his wife tried to remove his stinger with the dirty scissors? Was it C, his wife tried to make him watch the entire last season of This Is Us? Or was it D, unpasteurized eggnog left on the counter too long?
Number 1.
You're correct. He had an insect bite. They tried to fix it at home. Let's hear it for blood poisoning and Alban Berg. And let's hear it for Eric from South Orange, the first 4 for 4 contestant on the Newly Dead game. Eric, you've done great. Thank you so much and enjoy. Thanks for being part of it. We will have more games later on in the evening. And the beer is starting to be passed. You know, one of the funny things about Frankenstein costumes, if you just go online and look for a Frankenstein costume, they all come with an ill-fitting blazer. Which is exactly how Mary Shelley wrote it originally. It's like, I'm going to bring him back from the dead and find the secret of life and then take him to Men's Warehouse. Because I have a gallery opening I need to go to and I don't want to go alone. It's alive. That's from the original. People don't remember that. So, the new beer is coming around. Are we having a good time? You think we'll have more volunteers for the trivia next time? My God. You need to warm up a little, people. Keep working on those beers. Our friends from 6 Point have left free ones out in the lobby. You can always go out for more if you're feeling a little thirsty along the way. So to introduce us to our next beer, please welcome, I'm going to see who, our next brewer, and I believe it is Chris from 6 Point Brewing, introducing us to the beer that you should have in your hands very soon, known as the Mayor. You have a beer, my friend? No beer yet, okay. Hi. All right, Chris, welcome. Oh my God.
I'm hooked.
That's good. He's on.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, this is Chris from 6 Point Brewing, who's providing all the beers tonight. Chris, tell us a little bit about the beers that are coming around the Mayor.
So the Mayor was created for one of our big fans. Came to every release. Really enjoyed being part of that culture. And recently he passed away, and we made a beer in his honor called the
very
Mayor.
sweet. And this is him on the label, right?
Yes, that's him on the label.
And so this is, what kind of beer is the Mayor?
It's a New England IPA.
Oh my God, where's the New York IPA? Come on, show some
Close
pride.
So it's just a hazy IPA with Galaxy, Idaho 7, Simcoe, Centennial. It's one of actually the Mayor, Mike Spagats, I believe.
Spiegel.
Spiegel, yes, thank
Right,
you.
Mark Spiegel,
Mark Spiegel,
the Mayor.
the Mayor.
Mayor Spiegel to you.
Yes, Mayor Spiegel to me. Favorite style, so we made a beer in that same room that he really enjoyed.
Would you say this is as dank and resiny as my Wesleyan dorm room?
No, this is low key dank. It's not high key dank.
Okay, yeah, that's the difference. I'm tasting it now. Does
low-key.
everybody get the low key dank?
Low key dank. You can still go for a jog and be okay.
All right, Chris, tell me about apart from the pirate and Captain Hook you've got.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Halloween costume so far?
Here?
Well, I don't know. We have some costumes, not a ton. Some costumes.
Definitely my own. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is Chris from 6 Point. This is
Thanks.
the Mayor in honor of Mark Siegel. Enjoy, Chris. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
All right. So our next piece of music is by Henry Purcell. Henry Purcell was an English composer, and he died in 1695. And the way he died, according to the legend, is that he got into like a little argument with his wife. He had come home drunk like one too many times, and she decided that this was the time she wasn't going to let him in. And so that night in 1695, Henry Purcell slept on the couch. Just unfortunately, the couch was outside and made of snow. And so Henry Purcell caught a fever and died. And so here is one of his darkest songs called When I'm Laid in Earth, sung by the amazing Janae Bridges with Sakura Myers. Janae Bridges, Sakura Myers. Wow. Wow. So I recently heard you on the podcast, The Open Ears Project, talking about this tune. And I didn't get a chance to explain kind of what the text is and what the meaning is, but I know everybody felt it. But I wanted to hear you tell the story of what is this tune, where does it come from, and what's it all about?
Well, this tune is When I Am Laid in Earth by Henry Purcell, and it's from Dido and Aeneas. And in this aria, Dido, she is heartbroken. Her lover has decided to go with another person, and so she decides that life is no longer worth living. So yeah, that's what that's about. It's quite dark. And for me, I mean, it was one of the first classical pieces that I ever heard, and I just thought, whoa. I immediately started weeping, actually. And I looked back and I questioned, why did I start crying? But I think because of the simplicity in the piece. I mean, there are very few words, but the words that are spoken are so powerful. Remember me, but forget my fate. So for me, I take this as a lesson in forgiveness, because we do things and we are subject to things that are at times not nice, and you have to forgive, because what else, you know, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to leave this earth, you know? And for me, I realized that life is worth living, and it's not worth holding on to these negative feelings. So, yeah. So remember that, yeah.
I would like to be remembered as bitter and vindictive. I think those of you who know me, Mom, you know. She's right there. Janae, you debuted at Carnegie Hall this fall, right? Amazing. Oh, the last fall. And you've got a big show coming up.
I do.
And at the Metropolitan Opera. Can you tell us a little bit about Akhenaten?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so excited. I'm making my Met debut as Queen Nefertiti. Yeah. And yeah, thank you. In Akhenaten, and I couldn't imagine a better way to make my debut. But this opera is beautiful. The production is such a spectacle. The staging, the costumes, the orchestra, and chorus, of course. And it's such a powerful story that I actually didn't know much about. I knew about Queen Nefertiti, but Akhenaten was the person who is believed to introduce monotheism. So that's kind of he's the reason why we have religions. So it's very interesting, and I highly encourage you to come and see it. It runs November 8th through December 7th. There are 8 shows, and yeah, you will not be disappointed. Right. Even if you're not necessarily a new music fan, I can guarantee that something will grasp your attention in the show.
You also, yes, Akhenaten at the Met in a week, right?
Yes.
You also recently had the opportunity to sing at Jesse Norman's memorial. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and the lessons you learned from Jesse Norman?
Wow, yes. So that was about 2 weeks ago, her memorial in Augusta, as she would say, Augusta, Georgia. And it was such an honor to be able to send her off. I met her in 2008 at former President Obama's inauguration, actually. I sang in a choir, and she was the special soloist. And so I met her, and I just was starstruck. But I garnered up the courage to say hello to her, and all she said to me was, "Darling, learn your languages and sing from the depths of your soul." And she is the reason why, one of the reasons why I'm here today, and I just will never forget her. And I feel like she, in a way, kind of passed the torch to those of us out there. So, yeah, it was a very amazing experience, and she will always be with us.
All right. Thank you so much. Am I alone? Would you like to hear one more from Janae and Sakura? You got one more for us? All right. Janae Bridges, Sakura Myers. Thank you so much.
I put a spell on you. And now you're mine. You can't stop the things I do. I ain't lying. Been 300 years, right down from the day. Now the witch is back, and there's hell to pay. I put a spell on you. And now you're mine. I put a spell on you, and now you're gone. My whammy fell on you, and it was strong. Your wretched little lives have all been cursed, 'cause of all the witches working, we're the worst. I put a spell on you, and now you're mine. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. If you don't believe, you gotta get superstitious. Ask my sister. Oh, she's vicious. I put a spell on you. And now you're mine. You're mine.
Janae Bridges, Sakura Myers, piano. Janae, thank you so much. Amazing. Please follow Janae on social media. She's going to be at the Met starting next week. All right, well, we're having a great time, but we do have to pay the bills, so we have a quick word from our sponsor.
WQXR's Classical Beer Jam is supported by Blood Apron. Everybody knows the worst part of being undead. It's finding nourishing, healthy meals. Live humans avoid you for some reason, and if we're being honest, you probably don't move as quickly as you used to. That's why there's Blood Apron, fresh-killed meals delivered straight to your door. Just grab a daily portion and gnaw open the bag to enjoy a kidney, a liver, even brains. Whether you're eating at home or out with a horde, the hunt is over. Choose Blood Apron for meals delivered raw and ready to eat. Start your subscription and get a 20% discount using the promo code Decomposers at bloodapron.com.
Please support our sponsors. It really does help us do what we do here at the radio station. And in all seriousness, you probably may have heard we've been doing a fund drive for the last 93 days. And it is a real thrill to be on the air talking to all of you about the importance of keeping this classical music on the radio, and we really do need your support. But you've heard that already. How many of you are members? Amazing. Can I please have the non-members up to the stage? How would you like to become a famous composer tonight? Yes, exactly. Blood Apron is sponsoring the next game. Actually, there's something y'all can do for me. How many of you have smartphones? Okay. Wow. Okay. How many of you listen to podcasts? Okay, we're just dwindling the numbers down. I love that. There are 2 podcasts that WQXR puts out. I would love for you to subscribe to them. You could even do it right now and trick Apple into thinking we are blowing up. The 2 podcasts are the Open Ears Project and Aria Code. The Open Ears Project is a way to listen to classical music in a new way through the emotions of listening. And Aria Code is a podcast that gets inside an individual opera aria one song at a time. The new season starts on November 13th. So if you've not yet subscribed, please do so to the Open Ears Project and Aria Code, two of WQXR's most recent podcasts. And if you've never listened to a podcast, I'm going to give you the piece of advice that I hear in advertising all the time. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. Which is a funny thing to say for people who've never gotten a podcast. Like, just go to the podcast store to get your podcasts since you've never heard of the podcast thing before. So we're going to work on that language, but I think eventually we'll figure it out. So does everybody have beer number 3? How many of you are feeling ever so slightly intoxicated? Okay. That's what Jaap van Zweden says every night from the New York Philharmonic stage. It's like part of his thing. I stole that line from him. So please welcome from 6 Point Brewing, Mikey, and an introduction to Mega Raspy. Welcome, Mikey! All right.
All right.
Okay, so cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Halloween, Mikey. Whoa, this is different.
Yeah.
This isn't. We're not New England IPA anymore.
Nope, this is different.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about Mega Raspy.
All right, so we released a beer called Little Raspy 2 years ago. It was 4.5% sour beer with just a little bit of raspberries. Then since then, we've kind of been stepping it up a little bit.
More raspberries?
So, more raspberries. But then we've done with blackberries. We've wild aged it.
What does that mean? Those are words. I don't know what they mean. Wild age.
So wild age takes longer, gets a little funkier. Then
That's going to be my life plan for like my middle age forward. I'm just going to get like older and funkier. I'm going to wild age it, baby.
you, brother.
Yeah. Okay. I got it. I'm ready.
So then we did one that was a little stronger, and we used some key limes as well as raspberries. And now this is kind of like the ultimate version, the Mega Raspy. It's got raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, and vanilla. It's 8.4%. It's sort of the
No, you say 10%.
Yeah, so it didn't quite come out to 10%. So it says 10% there, but it only says 8.4% here.
Okay, well,
It's
only 1.6% difference.
so we
but
tried for the 10 and it didn't work out as well.
I
so
think
we-
8.4 is
Perfect.
noticeable. Also perfect.
Yeah.
Whoa. All right, we're gonna have some fun. So, Mikey, you are dressed as a construction worker.
Construction worker, yeah.
Right? That's what they're calling it these days.
Yeah.
What is your most epic Halloween costume?
All right, so I've always been terrible at costumes. This is probably the best put together costume I've ever had.
Pretty awesome. You nailed
Easily.
it.
Thank you guys.
Congratulations.
So we always would say like 2 days leading up, the day before, we're just gonna get drunk. We're gonna figure it out.
Is that like the business plan at 6 Point?
Yes. Yeah. So that's a 6 point thing and a costume thing. So the best one I ever got out of that was I had absolutely no costume, and me and my friends panicked, and we just gaslighted everyone and made up a character from a TV show, and I was that guy. I was Jim from Serengeti Dads, and I tied a belt around my head.
I love that show. I watched it on Netflix.
That's
I
what
binge
everyone
watched
was
it over
saying.
the
They were
weekend.
Like, oh,
yeah.
I love that show. Yeah, that was great.
That is awesome. Jim from Serengeti Dad, also known as Mikey. Cheers. Thank you
Cheers.
so much. Mega Raspy.
Yes.
Drink it slow. Almost 10% on this one. And fruity, too.
Almost there. Am I leaving? Am I staying?
You are dismissed.
Okay. Thanks.
Oh, me. The next piece of music is by Franz Liszt. So, a couple things you should know about Franz Liszt. First, amazing pianist, maybe one of the greatest of the 19th century. Also, his daughter married Richard Wagner. His daughter was Cosima Wagner. And so late in Liszt's life, he'd gotten to be very old, very frail, really unhealthy. And his daughter was a little fixated on not taking care of Dad. She wanted to take care of the new Bayreuth festival that she was reopening. And so Franz Liszt's doctors said, listen, you got to get some surgery. Maybe you got to take it easy. And his daughter's like, we got a ring cycle to go to, Pops. And so I'm not saying that it was Wagner who killed Franz Liszt. People say that. I'm not saying that, but people do say that Franz Liszt and seeing the ring cycle might have killed him. But he got back to his hotel room that night, and he was not doing well. And in fact, he had a little bit of a heart attack. And you know that scene in Pulp Fiction where John Travolta's got that the syringe, and he throws it into Uma Thurman's heart, and she jumps back to life. Anybody remember that scene? Yeah. So it's like that, but imagine the same syringe, and then Liszt dies. That is pretty much how it went down. So to play Franz Liszt's Funerei, please welcome the great pianist Jenny Lin. Lynn. Jenny Lynn, that is amazing. Holy octaves, Batman. My God. Will you tell us a little bit about that piece? Give us the full name and give us a little bit about that. Because I got the whole like Pulp Fiction list part of the story, but I didn't really tell the whole Funerized story.
It's part of a set and called Harmony Religious. And it was something really personal to Liszt. And he wrote this piece in memory of his friends that took part in the Hungarian uprising. So it's a very personal piece for Liszt. He wasn't really intending it to be showy, but of course with Liszt, it's quite a bit of octaves there. But what I love is at the end when you hear those three boom, boom, it's like heartbeat, as if life wins.
I love that idea of Liszt being like, I didn't want this one to be too showy. And you played this recently in an unusual spot that's like, you know, similar to here.
Yeah, we got to play this piece, the whole set, at Greenwood Cemetery in the catacombs. It was fantastic. It was wonderful. It was an incredible experience. People walked through the cemetery, to the catacombs and listened to the whole hour and a half of beautiful music. It was amazing.
If you've not yet been to the catacombs at Greenwood Cemetery to hear music, it is an amazing space to hear stuff, and you're of course surrounded by dead people throughout, and it's just, I'm gonna say, I mean, no offense, but the audience was a little bit better there. You guys, I'm just saying. Tell us about your Etudes Project album, Jenny.
I decided to put together etudes from older composers and match them with younger composers to really show what amazing range of repertoire the piano has. And I'm fascinated with speed. And
like Breaking Bad?
yes. So I will sometimes I feel like I need it to play, So, yeah.
Well, the that's fine. I just don't think the 6-point guys are going to hook you up. They kind of run in a different lane, it seems.
So the etudes is yeah. No, really what it is, it's a continuing project, and I hope to take it into many years in the future. I try to play as many interesting etudes as possible.
And speaking of which, the Glass Etudes, you're on tour with that?
I have been so inspired by Philip Glass piano etudes. I've been touring with him these last 4 years, and it inspired me to really pursue etudes from other composers.
Awesome. All right, well, this is Jenny Lynn. And Jenny, can I ask a favor? Would you be willing to stay on and play a little game with us?
I think so, yeah.
All right. It's a very win-win kind of game situation. Right after a word from our sponsors.
In ancient Egypt, the cotton that grew along the Nile was fit for kings in this life and the next one. At Death, Bed, and Beyond, we believe that no one should face eternity on uncomfortable bedding. Our Thanos collection features 1,000 thread count, the same softness used in mummy wrappings, guaranteed to never go stiff, even when you do. Death, Bed, and Beyond. We don't want to be the only sheets you buy, just the last ones. Use promo code Decomposers for a valedictory discount at deathbed.com.
All right, thank you, deathbed.com, for all your generous support of the work we do. All right, we have another game. Jenny Lynn's going to help us out here, and I need a volunteer from the audience, and I can't have anyone from New Jersey. I'm sorry, young lady here with your hand firmly high up in the air. No, I'm sorry, the woman behind you. I've got somebody already. Sorry. We can do this as a team. Come on up. I like teamwork. No. Come on, we're all friends here. Come on, we can do this together. It's all in good fun. I am. But now I'm going to have to learn to... Can I give you a hand? Please come. Welcome. Hi. I love that you're in costume. You've got a little black cat here. Tell me your name.
Zan Hall.
Zan, welcome. Where are you from, Zan?
From Queens, Kew Gardens.
I love that. Welcome. Queen's in the house. And just for the record, unlike Eric and my parents, I do not know Zan from before. Hello. Tell me your name.
Sophia.
Sophia, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Orlando, Florida.
Okay. How did you make it up here? You kind of a reverse snowbird situation?
Yeah, I'm in Fordham Law.
Oh, well, all right. You're doing something good. Okay. So you two, I'm going to have you team up. So we have Zant and Sophia as a team. And I'm going to stand awkwardly between you, and then we're just going to keep going back and forth. I think that's good. Let's do this as a circle. Now, Zan, you here. Okay. So the game we're going to play is called I See Dead People. Now, you may remember the film The Sixth Sense, where Haley Joel Osment and Bruce Willis and the whole I See Dead People. But now tonight, now you've had a few drinks, we're actually going to see some dead people. So here's it is. I kind of think of this game as the love child of Name That Tune and CSI. So I'm going to show you a death mask. Are you familiar with what a death mask is? Zan, can you explain it to the crowd?
I think it's something that's put on somebody who's dead and they let it harden and then they, like plaster of Paris, and then they take it off and then they put it in a museum and we all look at it.
Done and done. Thank you, Zan from Kew Gardens. So we're going to see some composer death masks, and Jenny Lynn here is going to give you a musical clue, and your job as a team is to guess which composer it is. May we see our first death mask, please? Jenny Lynn, the musical cue. Sophia and Zan, would you like a moment to confer?
It's not multiple choice like the last game.
No. This is more of a right or wrong situation. I'm close, but as Freud would say, no cigar. That is Tchaikovsky. And that's just what he looked like right after inventing his new favorite cocktail, the Typhoid Sunset. All right, Jenny Lynn, let's move on to our new death mask and new musical cue. Here we go. Sophie and Zan, do you have an answer?
We definitely know the song, but Beethoven?
It's Beethoven! There he is. Yeah, Beethoven had gotten pretty sick by the time that he was about to drink all that case of wine from his publisher. But you can see here, even in this younger portrait, he still had that terrible RBF, resting Beethoven face. We're going to move on to our next death mask. Jenny Lynn, take it away. Zan and Sophia, are you prepared with an answer?
I just want to say it looks a lot like my ex, but...
I don't know what happened to your ex. Whoa. Do you have a death mask of him?
Chopin.
Very good. That's Frederick Chopin, or as I like to call him, Freddie Chops. And in the, as Hamlet said, to be or not to be, it was TB. We're moving on. Here is your next death mask. Do you have an answer? We're gonna have it. We have. Well, the stakes are very high here. I just want to be clear. Very high stakes right now. You remember Shu Brahms from high school. I think you were in chemistry class, maybe AP chemistry. I'm going to ask you to pick one.
Brahms.
I'm sorry, that is Franz Schubert. Very, very good. One of the things I love about Franz Schubert's death mask, and I don't say that about every guy's death mask, is his hair was so good. Can we go back to the death mask for a second? No, next, back. Back one. Oh my God. I don't even have that good hair in life.
I wish he had been my ex.
He's a little old for you, my friend. All right. Moving on. Let's fast forward here. Here is your final death mask and clue from the great Jenny Lynn.
What do you think?
He was so good before. Isn't that Mozart?
It is Mozart! We may not know where he's buried, but thanks to some freaky traditions back in Europe, we know what he looked like when he died. That is Mozart's death mask, and you two are both winners of I See Dead People at the Classical Beer Jam. Zan from Kew Gardens and Sophia, originally from Orlando, Florida. Thank you so much. I'm going to reach into a casket and see what they've won. It is a WQXR taxi tote bag. There is unfortunately one set of earbuds in here, so I'm going to have to let you two duke it out over who gets left and who gets right. But there are plenty of beer koozies for both of you. Zan and Sophia, thank you so much for playing I See Dead People. And Jenny Lynn, can we get a big round of applause for the amazing and good-humored Jenny Lynn? Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenny. Okay. So our last beer is coming around, and to introduce you to something that I would tell you to sip really quickly, because I mean this thing's going to go straight to your head. Holy cow! They didn't even put any beer in there; it was just pure alcohol. Please welcome Max from 6 Point to tell us a little bit about this double cast Jameson edition, Master Edition, amazing brew. Do I get a whole one?
I brought you a whole can.
Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to walk out of here.
Well, you know, the way this night's going, I figured we should knock them undead.
Thank you much. Cheers. My goodness.
That's a little joke.
All right, that's very good. Does everybody have a little bit of this amazing beer? So it's a double oaked master blend Jameson edition Irish whiskey barrel imperial stout.
It's a really short description.
All right, that's the short story. Can you give me the slightly longer story, Max?
So this beer basically is a culmination of a really long series of beers we've been doing. Started 5 years ago or so with a beer called Three Beans, Imperial Stout, with coffee and chocolate and cacao beans. We've had beer in barrels for 2 years. We blended it together with some fresh beer. We put all of that beer into Jameson barrels, a new partnership we're doing with Jameson. And
why are they here tonight? My goodness. Bring on let's roll that out next.
They've got a lot of people in the city. There might be a Jameson person or two in this crowd.
All right, so this is a kind of a special thing that you've tried, and you've done Imperial Stouts. What am I tasting for a little bit? Because now I'm a little beyond tasting.
I don't know what you're talking about. This has been a low alcohol night, Matt. In my mind, this beer tastes a lot like Jameson. There's some whiskey notes. There's also some really dark, bitter chocolate notes, a little bit of baker's chocolate, some coffee notes, some of those oak things which give you vanilla and coconut.
Somebody just call
and
out
toasted
coconut?
almond. That was Mikey from 6 Point, the construction worker. Anytime you put beer in barrels, it gives you a lot of those vanilla and coconut and almond notes, and this beer is no exception.
Amazing. Okay, so you are dressed as the guy from the Love Boat?
Nailed it. How did you know, Matt?
Tell me about your most epic Halloween costume, apart from the Love Boat captain.
So I'm really, contrary to popular belief, I'm really not a giant Halloween guy. Usually my costumes are pretty low production value. Yeah.
No,
T-shirt
you don't
and a hat,
say.
Yeah.
You don't say.
I don't think I have a most epic Halloween costume. I know.
Okay.
I've been thinking about it for a little while. I knew you might ask this question, and I can't come up with one. It was probably when I was 7 in a Joker.
All right, that's pretty good. Like
but
a Joaquin
not the
Phoenix Joker?
No, like a Joker, from a playing card.
Oh, that's sweet. I can picture it. You probably had the same beard back then.
Identical. All I do is trim it.
Max from 6 Point, my God, what have you done to us? And to me in particular. Oh, Lord.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much. This is the Double Oak Master Blend Jameson edition. Max, thank you. And cheers. Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Oh, just one really quick plug if I can.
Please.
6 Point's been in Brooklyn since 2004. We've never had a tasting room, but summer next year we're opening a tasting room in Gowanus.
Sweet!
If you haven't seen the press release, you should come join us. There's going to be lots of epic parties when we open. Put in your calendars, summer 2020.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. And of course, I want to thank our friends at Jameson for bringing all the beer in tonight. What a treat it has been. 6 Point. See, this is what happens when they slip me the... What is the percentage on this, folks? It's 14%. And they hand me a full can. Lord. 6 Point, I love you. I really do, even if I call you by another name. So we're ready for a little bit more music. I don't know what it is about the violin, but the devil is never pictured playing the clarinet. Like, the devil is not like, I just gotta suck on this reed a little bit longer before I get in the sweet spot. No, always the violin. And there's no tuning up, too. So the next piece we're gonna hear is by Igor Stravinsky. It's called L'Histoire du Soldat. We'll hear some selections from that. And I guess the best way for me to sum this story up is in the words of Charlie Daniels. I told you once, you son of the bitch, I'm the best you ever seen. So to play selections from including the Dance of the Devil from Histoire de Soldat, please welcome members of the Knights. Give it up for these members of the Knights. Agnes Marchand, clarinet. Soon to be the Devil's new instrument. Colin Jacobson, violin. Vicky Chow, piano. The Tango, Valse and Rag, and the Dance of the Devil from L'Histoire de Soldat by Igor Stravinsky. Thank you so much. Will you stay upstairs on stage with us? I want to invite all of our performers back. Yes, I have had the beer. I do drink the merchandise. I'm not just pushing it on you all. I'd like to have our brewers back. I'd like to have our performers back. Here's Jenny Lynn. I want to tell you, Janae Bridges had to run up to the Met. She's sorry she can't be here, but she's so glad she came. And we have our brewers if they're around. But can I have a big round of applause for our musicians tonight? And a big round of applause for 6 Point Brewing. Here they are. And thank you all for coming out to our Decomposers Holiday Halloween Beer Jam. It's great to have you out, and we hope to see you again soon in the Green Space. The next show is November 18th with Together We Sing, and I look forward to drinking with you again real soon. Good night. Cheers.